Our Story Productions presents Martin County on TV, spotlighting the organizations, businesses, and citizens who are making a difference in our community today. And with interviews and stories done by local television shows over the last 25 years, here you're sure to learn more about the county we call home. Get ready, for this is Martin County on TV. Hello, I'm Jeff Rouse, Executive Producer of Our Story Productions. We hope you've been enjoying our latest venture, Martin County on TV. It's been quite a year. The coronavirus has not only affected and concerned many about the health of themselves and others, but it's also negatively affected most of the businesses and organizations of our community, not excluding Our Story Productions. So we made the decision not to film any new interviews throughout the end of the year for the safety of our guests. We will still be airing shows featuring flashback segments that have been filmed over the last 25 years that are sure to interest you, our viewers. We hope you enjoy these flashback segments that truly represent our rich history and look forward to bringing you new stories in the near future. Now it's time for
Martin County on TV Flashback.
Yeah, Minnesota winters. Some head south at just the thought of it. Others of us tough it out and build a little character. And then there are others who need that extra challenge and head to the Antarctic. Roger Swanson, a hog farmer and businessman from neighboring Donnell, is one of those people. In fact, he was awarded the Cruising World Medal for outstanding seamanship for his well-planned and safely executed cruise to the Antarctic Peninsula. As this article from Cruising World states, on January 19, 1988, Roger Swanson and the 5 crew aboard Swanson's Bowman 57 Cloud 9 set out in deteriorating conditions from the Beagle Channel in Tierra del Fuego, bound for Drake Passage and the Antarctic Peninsula. The northwest wind increased, leveling off in the 50-knot range. Seas built and Cloud 9 corkscrewed southward, heading where only 18 private sailing boats had ever gone before. It was a difficult 4-day passage across what is considered one of the most God-forsaken stretches of water in the world, but Cloud 9 made it. On the morning of January 23rd, Swanson and his crew made their landfall in the remote South Shetland Islands, finding a safe haven in the sunken volcanic cone harbor of Deception Island. They had sailed through gales and icebergs, but the Antarctic was theirs for the cruising over the next 10 days. We wanted to meet this guy and thought you would too, so we traveled to rural Donnell, Minnesota, and encountered rare artifacts from all over the world. And we encountered Roger Swanson. We learned that he had not only sailed to the Antarctic, but had also sailed around the world twice and had recently returned from attempting to cross the Northwest Passage. We asked him how a saltwater sailor had come to live in rural Minnesota.
I came to Donnell in December of 1956 after a hitch in the Navy. I had a degree in engineering, but I thought I'd like to try and settle in Martin County. I spent summers working on the farm down here when I was going to school, and the independence of the farmer appealed to me. And I thought if I could make that work, I might be able to develop a lifestyle that was more to my own liking than I could in the confines of the corporate world.
Roger not only managed the family farm, but founded Glass-Tite, a manufacturing company that produces fertilizer equipment, tractor cabs, snowblowers, snowmobiles, pickup tops, and various other products. He was also involved in banking and insurance. But what does all this have to do with sailing? We're pretty far from saltwater here in southern Minnesota.
Well, while I was in the Navy, I got a little saltwater in my blood. We did a lot of traveling, and that ship took me to places all over the world that I had never seen or even thought of visiting. And I enjoyed seeing the places and learning to meet the people. And this was something that was very interesting to me. And we used to talk on some of our long night watches with some of my fellow watchstanders. Wouldn't it be fun if we could do this by ourselves? Well, when I got back to Martin County, this seemed like a rather remote possibility, but the idea didn't go away. But first, I'd have to learn a lot more about sailing than I knew now. And it was then that I ran into Ray Stugard, who was looking for recruits for the new sailing club in Fairmont.
That new sailing club in Fairmont is what we now call the Yacht Club. In fact, Ray Stugard is still recruiting new sailors. We talked to Ray and asked him to reminisce about those early sailing days with Roger.
Well, it really started with the Yacht Club. The Yacht Club was started by 5 people. 4 of them were sailors. 3 of them, they're still in the community. Dr. Neil Nickerson and Dick Paulson and myself. And we had 3 sea boats, which are a 20-foot sailboat. And so we sailed in 1957 on the lake and got the idea that we ought to start a yacht club, and we did that. And Roger was about the first recruit that we got. He started sailing with us about a year later, and from then on began the saga. He's always seen me saying, when he talks to somebody else, don't go near him, he'll sell you a sailboat. And Roger's right. That's just exactly what we've been doing, Dick Paulson and I. We did this in order to build our fleets, and I counted up the boats and checked with Roger this morning, and we've sold him 7 sailboats in the 35 years that we've known each other, and he has sailed with us, of those 35 years, 12 years. And of those 7 boats, that represents, I think he's bought 10 boats altogether, and 7 of them we sold him. So we're rather proud of that. Roger quickly rose to the top. He became our Commodore in 1964. And then after sailing with us, that would be 23 years, he started to sail in the big waters of the ocean, the big waters of the world. And we gave him a plaque in 1988 after he sailed to the Antarctic, which we thought was rather tremendous. And we're very proud of Roger for what he's done. He's our most illustrious alumni.
We asked Roger how he got from sailing in Fairmont to sailing in oceans.
Well, the idea of ocean sailing had never really left my mind. But life went on. But one day I was vacationing with my family in northern Minnesota, and we stopped and saw Lake of the Woods. Well, that's the first body of water I hadn't been able to see across in quite a few years at that time. So the next year we took our boat from Fairmont up and sailed across Lake of the Woods and back again. Well, that was the beginning. I think I was bitten on long-distance sailing at that time. So the following year, I rented a boat out of Florida and sailed over to the Bahamas and through the Bahamas a ways and then back. Well, that was a total of about a 10-day trip. But after that, all my vacations were spent on saltwater. And I rented different boats for a while, and we sailed in the Bahamas and the Virgin Islands. And then I finally bought a boat, which I put in the charter trade. And it's a bit like owning a condominium, a time-sharing thing. And I would use the boat 4 weeks out of the year. Well, that went on for quite a few years, and we saw a bit of the Bahamas, the Virgin Islands, the Leeward Islands, down as far as Trinidad, and off Yucatan.
So what made Roger decide to sail around the world?
Well, that happened a little bit by accident. It was on my 50th birthday, and I was having a little bit of trouble with being 50. And I was just having dinner right here at my home with a few friends, and my daughter, who was then 17, rather flippantly asked, well, Dad, when are you going to sail around the world? Well, all of a sudden it hit me. I hadn't really thought very seriously about sailing around the world, but when she said that, I thought to myself, if I'm going to wait till I can afford it, and I have the time, I'm never going to go. So that night, I decided, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I'm going to try. And from then on, I focused my attention and my priorities on sailing around the world. Well, later that year, I bought Cloud 9, which is the boat I still have, and the following year, with my 2 sons, we set off to sail around the world. People asked, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, I said, I don't know. We'll sail till it stops being fun. And then if it stops being fun, we'll just quit and come back. I said, it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month or 2, I don't know, but we're going to try. Well, that was in July of 1982 that we started out, and I'm still sailing.
Roger has not only taken his children as crew members on his many sailing trips, he has had over 200 people join him. In fact, over 50 people from the Fairmont and Denell area have been crew members. One of them has been Shar Kaler, a commercial artist and Martin County Commissioner. We asked Shar what it takes to be a member of Roger's crew.
You do shifts, 4-hour shifts, 4 on, 8 off, and you have to be a worker, but there's so much to enjoy. So you have to be willing to go through some duress because, like I said, it's real classy being on these beautiful sailboats, but there's also a lot of inconveniences. On that second trip from the, well, no, I guess it was the first trip, we had stormy weather, and so we were just wet. All the time we were wet. Your blankets were wet, you were wet, you know, everything was wet, and everything was salty, you know. You tasted salty, your body was salty, and we couldn't bathe, you know. Roger's kind of stalwart in being, okay, we're going to conserve water and different things like that. So boy, when we got on shore, I mean, it was just, oh, where's the water? You know, we just want to, you know, get clean. So you have to, you know, you just have to, and to live aboard a length of 50 feet with maybe 5 to 7 other people is a challenge. And Roger, I think, has always taken and enjoyed the combining of different people and different personalities. So that's a pleasure, but it also, when you think about living with that many people for several days, it can, you know, I mean, that takes something too.
Elsie Langford, the office manager of Southern Plains Education Cooperative in Fairmont, has also been a part of Roger's cruise. In fact, she has sailed over 25,000 miles with Roger. We asked Elsie to explain her feelings as she crossed the oceans.
I was just going to say fear. There's some of that when the winds come up and there are storms, and that happens occasionally. Apprehension, but also a lot of peace. To be in a place where there are no telephones, no contact with anyone else. We have the radio, but the two-way radio. But when we sailed across the Atlantic that time, then we saw 4 ships while we were gone until we came into a harbor. So there was no contact with anyone. That's great. Very pleasant change from the office.
Roger is often asked to explain the qualifications for his crew.
And people often ask me, what are the qualifications for a crew? What do I need to know? How much of a sailor do I have to be? Well, you really don't have to know very much about sailing at all. The whole thing is attitude. They have to be outdoor people. They have to be willing to stand in the cold and rain when necessary and not think, well, we ought to go in and find a place to hide. It's an attitude, a sense of adventure, a wanting to do things, and to be alive. And these are the people that it takes to make good crew members. And I like crews that are a mixture of ages and sexes. I've had people from 8 to 81 sail with me. And if you have different ages, it makes for a good mix of people, and we have a good time.
As Roger said, they have a good time. In fact, it isn't often that they encounter serious storms or emergencies. He said it's kind of like driving in southern Minnesota. Most of the time the weather is pretty good, but every once in a while you encounter some trouble.
It was also tough down.
Roger, we're about 50 miles west of you, but having heavy sleet, rain, snow combination, visibility is so bad that we're hove to, waiting for an improvement, and just wondered what your situation was. Over.
Okay, thank you. Palmer standing by for 125 at channel 16.
Yeah, Roger, thank you. Cloud 9 clear.
The 4 days following our crossing of the Antarctic Circle are probably the toughest I have ever spent at sea. The winds varied from 30 to 70 knots. Much of the time we were hove to. We usually adjusted the sheets to maintain a speed of 1 to 1.5 knots to provide steerage way to avoid ice when necessary. We would periodically try to head east to seek the shelter of the offshore islands, but each time we would be driven back by the ice, and we would seek the relative safety of open water. Ice in seas like this is terrifying. and at times we had a lot of it.
You see Roger working on the auto steering yet back there. We've got a broken line.
In conditions like this, you can see a chunk of ice only when it is at the crest of a wave, and then it could be too late. We had to keep a careful watch, even when hove to. The weather was relentless. Much of the time we had horizontal snow and sleet, which is visible here.
Awesome visibility, as you can tell.
Conditions below were terrible. No heat, and everything including bedding damp from the condensation. Cooking was incredibly difficult, and yet hot food was essential. Sleep was almost impossible, both because of the physical discomfort and because of the anxiety. Anxiety, wondering whether someone on watch might miss one of those chunks of ice. But we slept. We had to, but never very long at any one time.
You know it's blowing when the tops are getting blown off.
Yeah.
What do you think of this, trying to work back up from the circle for 3 days?
Well, I hope it was worth it. It's been a long, tough slog. 48 hours beating the windward in gale force winds under working station, Double Reef, Maine. It's been heavy going. We're all tired. But, we'll get there.
You'd think after an experience like that, Roger would think twice about returning to the big open water.
People ask me, why do I keep coming back sailing year after year? And I think I can best summarize it with maybe 4 reasons. First of all, I like boats. I like trying to keep that boat going, and that's a bit of a challenge. And I like the sea. You know, the feeling of the boat heels over, and you feel the wind in the sails, and you feel the motion, and you're working together. It's a kind of a harmony there. So I like the sea. And thirdly, I love to travel. And you see all these places. And that boat takes us places that you can't get any other way. The really remote places in the world. And that's exciting, and that's fun, and it's interesting. And lastly, I like the people. You see people and meet people from all over. And I'm talking about the people that, not only the people that are on board, of which I've mentioned before, we put together a lot of people from completely different walks of life. And it's amazing how well they all get along, and they all unite in a common effort. And then we meet the people in the different places we go. And we learn about them and about their ways and their customs and their habits. And this is probably the most important thing that keeps me coming back. It's a continuing education. And it's an education for me and the people that are with me. And it's very, very interesting, and it keeps drawing us.
We still wondered, can anyone do what Roger has done?
I learned right then that I really wouldn't be able to do that. Roger makes light of it, but sailing is just part, and this is what I learned. Sailing is just part of being able to do the things that he does. You have to know everything about how to keep a boat maintained. You got to know electricity, you got to know how to rehaul an engine. Everything that goes wrong on that boat, you've got to know how to repair it, because when you're out in the middle of an ocean, there's nobody to help you but yourself. And so he makes light of that, but it's really very important. And if I went out there and if the electrical system broke down, it would stay broken down. If the engine stopped, it would stay stopped. Not that case with Roger. He's able to do those things, and that's one of his many strengths. Of course, the other thing that everybody likes that sails with Roger, he runs a good ship. And when he says he's going to get someplace, he gets there. He's an excellent navigator.
It would take a long time to build the area of expertise that he has. He has a naval background, but I always felt very, very confident in his abilities. I remember rocking and being on the stormiest of nights, and he would be out there with his sextant, more reliant on the tools that he was familiar with than on electronic which my husband Wayne, thought, well, we should be, utilizing these more, but ever so accurate. And you have to be a master of so many different things, and to the extent that Roger also did include people on the crew with different abilities. But from motors going out to even running sewing machines to fix the sails to, just a variety of things that one needs to be knowledgeable about.
I wouldn't say anyone could do what Roger has done. It really takes a lot of skill to be a captain and to be able to navigate a boat safely through some of those waters. They're pretty treacherous. But I think anyone can crew if they're willing to try something different and to work hard. It is hard work, but it's also fun and a good challenge.
Well, I think anyone can do what I've done if they really want to do it. We had one person, actually it was a niece of Elsie Langford, who had sailed with me. And this girl was in her 20s. She had never been in a sailboat in her life. She had never really traveled. She didn't know anything about sailing. And she joined the boat in Valdivia, Chile, and sailed 5,000 miles across the Pacific and left the boat at Tahiti. But the important thing is that you have to want to do it. And I'm a great believer in this, that we do control our destinies to a great extent. And we have to set our priorities and decide what we want to do. And then we have to concentrate on what it is that we want to do. And I don't care if it's sailing across the ocean or climbing a mountain, or whether it's accomplishing something in your work or in your personal or family life. You have to decide what's important to you and then go for it. And if you're willing to work hard enough and dedicate your energies in that direction and make the sacrifices that it takes, and it takes a lot of hard work and it takes sacrifices, but then it's a question of priorities. But if you're willing to do this, you can accomplish things that you never dreamt that you could do.
We are home where the albatross roam, and the whales and the porpoises play, where seldom is had a day that's really bad, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home of the sea, where the whales and the albatross play, where seldom is had a day that's really bad, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Put into port. I'll buy myself a beer and I'll bend someone's ear, and I'll buy the whole crew a full snort. Home, home on the seas, where the whales and the porpoises play, where seldom you'll see a landlubber like me, and the skies are not cloudy all day.
Hometown Focus today, and I'm visiting with a dynamic duo, KSUM, KFMC here in Fairmont, Minnesota. When I first started selling for this radio station, you guys were just babies.
Mm-hmm. No, haven't we? We hardly grow it, have we? Our boss still thinks we are.
And you know how that makes me then. That's not good. That's not good.
No.
No.
You're not that old.
I should have put you over here. Okay. First I'm going to say that last week at a local grocery store, I talked to a couple and said that I was going to interview Pat and Mike this week, and that you'd be on TV. And the fellow said to me, one thing about those guys, when we turn off the alarm, we turn them on. Now, you know what? That's a good testimonial. Don't you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this program will prove why we're in radio.
Now, we're not used to being.
We have faces for television.
Yes, you do.
That's awful nice of you to say that. We've talked before that when our mom was alive, we always knew we could count on one person listening, you know. But
sure you do.
now she's gone, we don't know who's out there. We're grateful, like I always say, we need all the help we can get.
Okay, and don't we all?
And we appreciate always those people that'll say, well, I listen to you every day.
Sure,
you know.
sure.
So it's
And
great.
it's fun. A couple questions right off the bat. You kind of started out with Uncle Marv Carlson.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's no relative, but I feel close to Marv because he and I are the only two farm directors that have worked here. And I carry a picture of Marv in my wallet all the time.
Okay, and there it is. Oh my goodness.
This is our friend Marv Carlson, who
Certainly.
was admired and followed all those years in the early morning.
Yeah.
He'd be very proud to know that it took two of us to replace him.
Well, that tells me Mike's got an awful big butt. That'll fit into.
And a big billfold as well.
That's what I meant.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I carry that with me all the time.
Oh, really? Okay, so now how many years you been here?
Here for Woodward Broadcasting, 28 years.
Okay, farm director?
Farm director since 82, I think.
82? Okay.
So,
okay.
That'd be about 22 years.
About 20. And Pat, when did you come on board?
April of '84, so I'm going to start my 21st year here. Hard to believe.
God, in April. Happy anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
and mine too.
Oh, yours too?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Mine was April 3rd.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Better than the first.
Yeah.
No.
And we've been doing Daybreak, I don't know, let's see, I started in '84. When did we start doing Daybreak? About '87, I think, together. '87 or '88, we've been doing Daybreak together.
Okay. And at different points, as we said, I'll bet you guys can finish each other's sentences.
Okay.
Okay. Some good, some not so?
Well, sometime, just last week, or maybe it was this week, it's hard to remember. Days just kind of roll together. But we ended up saying the same thing at the same time, in the same rhythm. It was like,
hello.
You came together related, you know?
Yes, of course. Oh, my gosh.
So,
Being a farming community, farm director and a show kind of into that groove is very important for us in this area. I remember when I was selling at different points, the stock or the markets wouldn't be so good. And if I'd sell some 30-second commercials to somebody, they'd say, "Don't put me on by the markets." Yeah, they didn't want that. And I suppose as it fluctuates, things go up and down.
sure, but as it depends the time of the year and all of that. Because of our dedicated farm programming, we have people that want to be there now, no matter what the markets are.
Sure.
So.
Well, and times change,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
Pat, you still raise cattle?
Yeah, I still got them on the home farm where Mike and I and the rest of our other three brothers and sister moved here from Blue Earth, 1957. It's just a mile down the road.
Okay.
And I raise registered Black Angus cattle. I have since I was 13, I guess. So.
Oh, in 4-H too?
Yeah, well, my kids were in 4-H. I was in FFA.
Oh, okay. Okay,
And,
sure.
so the kids went through with it, and hopefully the grandkids are going to be in there too, I hope.
Surely. And still singing?
Still singing once a week at the Sirloin House.
Yes.
No plug, no dirty plug there.
Once in a while, out and about somewhere.
Okay, well, I tell you.
And we're open. We have a lot of open days.
See, and I've got bowls for sale too at the Murphy's Rolling Grain Farm.
So give us a call here at the station for whatever you want.
559.
Bowl or music, it cannot go together here.
Or if you want straight bowl, it's Monday morning, 6 to 9, every morning on 1370 KSUF. And I have one question. Somebody always says that TV makes you look fat, you know?
Yes.
Does my butt look big?
Well,
no, but your hook needs to be
oh my gosh. They do say one camera will put 20 pounds on, so if you use two cameras, it's 40. So I don't know what I'm up to, but I'm sure it's 3 or 4 at once. I'm not too sure. But that's a good good idea.
Okay, maybe we ought to have 3 or 4 of them.
Okay. Now, you fellows are, do you sing, Pat?
No, I'm not, only in the shower to myself, you know.
Okay.
I never
went out and did anything like our brother Steve and Mike did.
Okay. Well, I've listened to Mike sing a lot over the years, and boy, I tell you, when you get into those St. Patrick's, you remember that?
The Irish tunes.
I interviewed you not that long ago on St. Patrick's Day when you were doing a gig, as they say, and that got me. I tell you, you do a beautiful job. You do a beautiful job, and you fellows now. You all come in at the same time. Nobody's late. No. You just come in, do your thing, and you can go home.
Well, yeah, roughly. No, we come in. I come in every morning just before 6. I've been up since 4, and I do all my reading in the morning, and so I think I might know something while I'm on the air. And then Mike comes in and joins me. We're on together till 9 o'clock, and then I'm on another hour. By myself.
Yeah, sure.
And then Mike starts his farm duty, starts doing all his markets, and we're here till 2 o'clock every day doing administrative stuff, or Mike does some selling, and I have some other things I have to do around here.
You know from being here that there's a lot of behind the things, seeing things that need to get done.
Yes, I do, and I remember that very well, and I used to do a whole lot of them.
But a lot of people think that, what else do you do? You're only on the air for this long. There are a lot of other things to do here.
So it's not like Regis and Kelly, you're just not on for the hour and then you all go do something else.
Well, it isn't near the money either.
No. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap things up by saying you guys are just fun to interview. I didn't know it was going to be quite this much fun. I thought it was going to be a little more sophisticated, but it's okay.
No, you can't use sophisticated and Murphy in the same sentence.
No, and it's kind of nice to know that you guys haven't changed that much.
Oh, thanks.
You bet.
Yeah,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing for both of you. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Bonnie.
And Mike.
Thank you.
And thank you. And with that, it's Hometown Focus. I'm Bonnie, and we'll see you again.
Martin County on TV Flashback.
Well, there you have it, another episode of Martin County on TV. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we welcome you to tune in again. Thank our sponsors for making this happen, and remember, it's not just the past, but the present that tells our story.